Assalamu alaikum. The Holy Quran mentioned in Surat Al-Anbiya the following verse: waina huma ila rabwatin jaati, qararim wa mayeen. As Ahmadi Muslims, we understand from this verse that Hadhrat Isa alayhi salam and his mother were given a refuge by Allah after the crucifixion in a place as described in this verse. We understand it's Kashmir. Is there any historical record of revelation received by Hadhrat Isa alayhi salam during that period? Between the period he lived in Kashmir, as I do believe that he was in a holy mission there too, and his status of as a Nabi-ul-Allah was not taken away from him.
Would you please translate it into Arabic yourself, or would you like him to translate?
Simple.
That's right. This question which you have raised is involved. It's like, the mountain road. It goes winding up and turns many a corner, and questions are raised before we reach the end of the question. So although you have shaped the question in the end in a very different way, while you were building the question, so many other questions cropped up here and there. I thought you would stop at every time, at every corner, and say, look, this is a question, that is a question, that is a question. You missed all of them. So if you permit, I would slightly touch upon those. Otherwise people will remain, confused and dissatisfied. You see, first of all, the question is what awa means and what is the incident to which the Holy Quran is referring. People, the non-Ahmadi Muslims, believe, perhaps, as during my discussions, it emerged from the discussions, that Hadhrat Maryam, before the birth of Jesus Christ, went to a remote place, and there it was given the shelter in jaati, qararim, rabwatin, jaati, qararim, wa mayeen, and that is the incident to which the Holy Quran is referring. While in fact the style of expression rejects this connotation, because as I understand not only Arabic but all other languages, when a pregnant woman moves from one place to other, you never say they both went from here to there. You don't refer to them as tasniya, you see. So again, the Holy Quran begins with the word ibna. First ibna wa ummuhu. So, which means it begins with the reference to two people and then refers to them in tasniya. So that meaning is absolutely out of question. Ayat mein jalna, ayat wo padhe na, full verse. Wal jalna apna Maryama wa ummahu ayatan. Or read the full verse, please.
No, I just got waina ila rabwatin.
Have Surah I'll read the
say this.
What?
Can I translate this?
Yes, please. You see, the points which I'm going to raise are twofold. First of all, that incident to which they think this verse also refers has been mentioned in detail in Surah Maryam and other places. And there she is always referred to in a singular. Makanan Sharqiya, that verse I have in mind. It's not two people moving away. It is just Hadhrat Maryam with her child. She moves from one place to another and goes and seeks shelter somewhere else to keep away from the public eye during the pregnancy period. Now, there, both are not mentioned as tasniya. Here, first of all, Ibn is mentioned, which already is born, of course. And then his mother. And then the word tasniya refers to both of them. It is surprising how some people, when they want to have some meaning drawn out of the Quran, distort their own language, distort the common understanding, and insist that this refers to just one Mary, pregnant Mary with a child in her womb. This is not so.
This is another one.
This is the other one.
Yes, I know this, but I have already.
No, I'm saying this is the singular which I just mentioned.
Yes.
فأجاءها المخاض إلى جذع النخلة
نعم.
قالت يا ليتني مت قبل هذا وكنت
واذكر في الكتاب مريم إذ انتبذت من أهلها مكانا قصيا شرقيا.
All singular.
نعم نعم.
So when this incident has already been covered by the Holy Quran, what right has anybody else to distort this image and refer to the other verse which I have just quoted or you have quoted to also belong to the same incident? The style is so different, they're two different things. Now that is one thing which should be understood. The second thing is, where did they both disappear? They went together, there is no doubt about it. And where should they have gone? The Holy Quran points at the place and its features. It's a place which is mountainous, plateau-like, and a place where is peace, jaati, qararim wa mayeen. And there are also many springs. Now this description applies beautifully to Kashmir, there is no doubt about it. But there is only one finger pointing at this. There should be other evidence. How on earth could we imagine that this verse is definitely speaking of Kashmir, and how can we fix the place to be that? This is a big issue. Now, if the Holy Quran has spoken on something which relates to Jesus Christ, of course we should expect that the New Testament also should refer to that incident. And when you see another finger pointing at that point, then at the juncture of the two signs, you can recognize the place. Now, Jesus Christ is known to have said that before crucifixion, that he would leave the people and go in search of or in pursuit of the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now this is very significant. He made a promise to his people that he would leave them and go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Everyone who has the slightest knowledge of the history of Jews understands from this that earlier than the time of Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, 12 tribes of Israel, 10 out of 12 tribes of Israel had been turned out of Judea, and they had to travel, they call it diaspora, they were scattered all over, but they had to travel eastward. And they settled in some eastern countries as they proceeded along the courses. So now, Jesus has promised that I am going to leave you and I would go to pursue these lost tribes of Israel. When you understand this, then the Holy Quran's verse becomes very clear. You see, a prophet has made a promise, how can he die without fulfilling that promise? So if, as the others believe, instead of being crucified, he was lifted to the heaven, where was this promise? He had forgotten, or had God forgotten this promise? So he could not have risen to heaven without fulfilling this promise. But God has also attached inseparably his own mother with him. So they both to go together wherever this verse indicates. And where did they go? Before childbirth we know, but then they came back. Again, we also know that Ava means an escape from danger and a shelter from danger. So the danger to both of them appeared during the time of crucifixion or before that, with the great hostility shown by the Jewish people towards him and his mother and all the others. God promised that these two I have saved, and I have removed them from the place of danger to a place where there is peace, shelter, mountainous area and springs. So where should Jesus go after crucifixion? Obviously in the direction which is set first by the Quran and second by the Bible. According to the Quran, the area is described. According to the Bible, the people are described who must have settled in that area. Otherwise his promise will be wrong. So if you trace the exodus of the Jews, the 10 tribes, I mean, towards east, now the Christian scholars, the Western scholars themselves now agree that the people of Afghanistan and the people of Kashmir are of Jewish origin, Israelites. And anyone can see that. Looking at them is so easy because their features, their nomenclature, look at the tribes of Afghan tribes, Isa Khail, Musa Khail, this Khail, that Khail. Such terminology is not in usage in India anywhere else. Only among the Afghans. And the names of the places when you reach Kashmir are surprisingly those which were used in Palestine in olden days. And then the Takht Sulaimani and this, you read the nomenclature, particularly this is mentioned in the book of Hadhrat Mirza under the title Masih Hindustan mein, Messiah in India. Now, Kamsha, I know that my answer has become too big. I'll stop here. But by pointing out that this verse leads to a place which is not mentioned as Kashmir. I agree. No name is mentioned. But to a place of a certain description. The other biblical verse leads us to follow the course, directs us to follow the course of how people of the house of Israel. Wherever they went, Jesus must have gone. And this is established that they went and settled in Kashmir. Now the verse does not apply to Afghanistan. It's far from being a piece of, an abode of peace and, mountain, the sort of Jannah which is described in this verse does not apply to Afghanistan. But to Kashmir, of course. So this is only a partial answer to the second part of the question. Then I'll turn to the third one. Right? Now the second thing about the last thing particularly about the ilham or wahi, which must have continued wherever he went along with him, because he was still the prophet of God. So there is no doubt about it. This must continue. But there was a difference between the wahi which he did receive from God and the wahi which was distorted later on by those who recorded the Bible and, prepared 4 different books in the name of Allah, but nobody knows for certain whether these are the very things which happened or something else happened. There is even St. John, who invented some new things which have never been mentioned in the earlier 3 scripts of Bible, that is Matthew, Liqa and Mark. They are not mentioned, and he invented, and the almost entire philosophy of eternal companionship of the Son with God is built on that one sentence found in the Gospel of St. John. I'm just giving you example of how unreliable they became. You must have heard so much from Christians. He was Word, Jesus was Word, Word was with God, and God was eternal, and this Word became Jesus later on. You read the Old Testament about the creation, don't find any reference to this word. You read the 3 Gospels I have just mentioned, you read no reference whatsoever to this word. This is an invention of the mind of St. John, and they built Christianity on this word, on his word alone, while he had never seen Jesus Christ himself. So what I mean to say is, you cannot expect Jesus Christ to condone the mistakes which were added onto the Bible after he had departed. the Holy Quran, when it refers to this incident, when God would inquire from him, did you did you do that? He said, Kuntu alayhim shahidan ma dumtu fihim. Falamma tawaffaytani kunta anta raqib alayhim. Ma dumtu fihim is very important stage. As long as he remained there, the Bible was not twisted. But when he left them, then anything could happen. So you can't expect the same Bible to be found during his hijrah. It has to be a different version. We had no record of that. But with the grace of Allah, Hadhrat Masih Maud was told by Allah that God would make the earth throw up the evidence, more and more evidence, in favor of this doctrine which God has guided you to. So only a few years ago, about 2 decades ago I think, within the 2 decades, a book was published from Oxford University, which was a research paper. That research paper is entitled Among the Dervishes. And this speaks of a scholar who went in search of Dervish tribes in Herat to find out about their culture, the way what they believe in, how they practice things. And he writes in that book that I was surprised to discover a clan among the Pathan which called itself Christian Muslims. He said, what do you mean by Christian Muslim? Either you call yourself Christian or Muslim. So, and the name of that tribe was Musai. They related to Moses. And the head of the clan was Abba Yahya. Abba is a Jewish term of their elders, you know, Abba. So Abba Yahya, he said, I went to him, although it was not the part of my subject, but out of inquisitiveness, you know, I just went there. And he told me a most surprising thing. He said, Jesus Christ, you think, was crucified and died upon cross. This is your thought. You're absolutely wrong in this. Jesus Christ was saved by Allah from that accursed death upon cross. Not only that, he migrated from that place. And while during his migration, he was heading for Kashmir. Now this is the evidence of this Christian scholar with reference to a Pathan tribe which does not even know of Ahmadiyyat, never heard of it. He says, while on the way to Kashmir, he stopped here and preached us the true gospel. And that gospel which he taught is still preserved with us in the form of rolls. And we have them, and there is no mention of Trinity, no mention of his being Son of God, no mention of all the distortions which you find in your testaments. So they are wrong, they have been interpolated. So he said, this is because it was his blessing which led us to truth. And because this teaching which he gave us was pure and simple and believed in the unity of God. So when Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam came and his message reached us, without hesitation we accepted him. But we remembered that the first benefactor who led us to the glory of Muhammad Rasulullah was Jesus Christ. We said we shouldn't forget him. So we decided, when the elders decided, to continue to call ourselves Christian Muslims. So this was the reason why they were called Christian Muslims. Then he said that he went to Kashmir, remained there, and then once again revisited us, and then went back. And he said, we also call him Jesus of Nazareth and of Kashmir. He said, why these two things, of Nazareth and Kashmir? Simply because he was born in Nazareth and died in Kashmir. All this evidence was not concocted by Ahmadis. Every sane man can see that. And the tribe is a reality of history. It does exist there still. We sent another person to investigate, and he fully corroborated the statement of this book. So this is how Allah brings up truth slowly and gradually for those who see. So he did receive wahi, but what that wahi was, unless some scholars study the whole script, which is left there, we will not fully really know, definitely know. But we also know that some of Jesus' ilhamat or wahi or revelations are found on stones, inscribed on stones, in scattered over Kashmir as well as Nepal, etc. So already a scholar has gone from America, a young scholar who had prepared his task quite in depth and satisfactorily, and he knows what he's looking for. So while he was going to Kashmir, he also met me on the way to Kashmir here in London. And I also discussed with him all the various aspects. He said, look here, my objective is to discover a written proof at all, if at all, of Jesus' presence and his sayings. So I hope Allah grants him light and success. If he returns with some treasures of Jesus' writing, then inshallah your question will be answered, not in generalities, but I could show you this is an ilham of Jesus which he received during that period and that period, right?